The illusion of wealth. How people are really affording it. You scroll through your feed, and suddenly it feels like everyone is winning. New cars, dream vacations, beautiful homes, and somehow they're all living a life that feels just out of reach. But here's the part nobody tells you. Most of it is financially fragile. Not just tight, not just stretched. Fragile. And in the next hour, I'm going to show you exactly why, using real numbers so you can see what's actually happening behind the scenes. Because once you understand this, you'll never look at someone else's lifestyle the same way again. And more importantly, you'll start to realize something most people don't figure out until it's too late. Looking wealthy and being wealthy are completely different games. Let's start with the biggest symbol of success: the house. When someone buys that beautiful home, open floor plan, finished basement, backyard, your brain immediately says they must be doing really well. But here's what's actually happening. Many buyers are spending 40% or more of their income on housing. That's before taxes. So someone earning $80,000 per year might bring home around $5,300 per month. Now subtract a $2,700 mortgage. What's left has to cover everything else. That dream home? It's not a sign of wealth, it's a sign of pressure. And here's where it gets interesting. Housing isn't even the biggest illusion. Let's talk about cars. Most new cars are financed, and a surprising number of people are paying over $1,000 per month. If you're making $60,000 a year, that single payment eats over 20% of your income, before gas, before insurance, before repairs. So when someone pulls up in a luxury vehicle, that's not necessarily wealth. That's a financial decision, one that often comes at the expense of long-term stability. But here's where the math starts to break. Even after housing, even after cars, it still doesn't add up. So where is the money actually coming from? Let's zoom out. Because income alone doesn't tell the story. What matters is net worth. For many people, their wealth is tied up in home equity retirement accounts. Not liquid, not flexible, not usable for real-life decisions. So they look comfortable, but they're not actually free. And now we get to the part almost nobody talks about. The hidden system behind the lifestyle. A large number of people are receiving financial support from family, from shared living situations, from invisible safety nets. Some are saving thousands by living at home. Others are receiving monthly support, sometimes over $1,000 per month. That's the difference between struggling and looking like you're thriving. So from the outside, it looks like success. But underneath, it's a completely different equation. And this creates a dangerous illusion. Because your brain compares your full reality to someone else's highlight reel. You don't see their debt, their stress, their trade-offs. You only see the outcome. And this is where most people get trapped. Not because they're doing badly, but because they're comparing incorrectly. Now here's the real shift. Because once you strip away debt-hidden support, financial pressure, you start to see the truth. Most people aren't ahead. They're just optimized for appearance. So the question becomes, if that's the illusion, what does real financial stability actually look like? Because it doesn't look impressive. It doesn't get likes, and it definitely doesn't show up on social media. Real wealth looks like this: consistent investing, controlled expenses, strategic allocation. Not flashy, but powerful, and this is where most people, even high earners, make a critical mistake. They focus on income instead of allocation. Because you don't build wealth by earning more alone. You build it by how you structure what you already have. And this is where everything changes. Let me show you a simple framework. Something most financially stable people eventually figure out. Bucket 1. Stability. This is your foundation. Cash, low-risk assets, protection. Bucket 2, growth stocks, index funds, long-term compounding. Bucket 3, opportunity. Alternative investments, asymmetric bets, higher upside. Most people overload one and ignore the others. That's why they feel unstable, even when they earn good money. And if you're in your 40s or 50s, this becomes even more important, because now it's not just about growth, it's about protecting what you've already built. And this is where a lot of people start to feel something. They can't quite explain. They've done everything right. They've invested. They've worked hard. But something still feels off. That feeling is usually a structure problem, not an income problem. And once you fix the structure, everything starts to feel different. You stop chasing appearances. You stop reacting emotionally. And you start making decisions from a position of control. Now, here's the truth. Most people avoid. The lifestyle you see online often comes with trade-offs you would never accept. Debt, stress, dependence, lack of flexibility. And when you really understand that, the comparison disappears. Because the goal isn't to look wealthy. The goal is to be financially unshakable. And that requires a different approach. It requires clarity, structure, and intentional decisions about where your money goes. Now, if you've made it this far, there's a good chance you're not starting from zero. You've already built something. You've already invested. But you might be starting to question, is this actually working the way it should? And if that's the case, you're exactly who this next step is for. Because most people don't need more information, they need a better system, a way to rebalance their portfolio, reduce unnecessary risk, increase stability, and still capture growth. That's exactly what I focus on. So if you want to take this further and actually apply a structured approach to your finances, there's a link below where you can learn more about how that works. No pressure. Just a system designed for people who are ready to move from uncertainty to clarity. Because at the end of the day, the real question isn't how are they affording it? The real question is it even worth affording? And once you see that clearly, you realize something powerful. You're not behind, you're just playing a different game, and it's the one that actually works. If this helped you think differently, like, share, subscribe for more real insights.